Welcome to my series 100 Scientists Who Influenced the World, where I've taken a diverse mix of people and broken them down into 10 different categories. There are some famous scientists as well as some lesser known ones, but all of these people have had an influence on the world. The famous astronomer Galileo said that mathematics is the language in which God has written the universe. Since the dawn of mathematics until the present day, there have been many people that have developed fundamental laws of mathematics, solved complex equations, or even used it to help us understand the universe and reach space. So who are some of these marvellous mathematicians? Pythagoras. Pythagoras was born in 570 BCE in Greece, but he later moved to Italy where he formed the Pythagorean school. Pythagoras made significant contributions to the fields of mathematics, science and philosophy, but is best well known for the mathematical theorem which bears his name, the Pythagorean theorem. This theorem states that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. This is a fundamental part of mathematics which is still in use today in fields such as physics, engineering and architecture. Pythagoras believed that mathematics is a way to understand the universe, that the universe is mathematical in nature and that everything can be understood through numbers. Leonhard Euler. Leonhard Euler was born in 1707 in Switzerland and he studied at the University of Basel where he received a master's degree. His ability in mathematics was soon recognised and respected throughout Europe and he moved to the St. Petersburg Academy of Sciences. Euler's greatest contribution to mathematics was in the field of number theory, where he made major contributions to the study of prime numbers and developed concepts and formulae which are still in use today. Euler also raised calculus to new levels of perfection and shed light on most areas of pure mathematics. Euler's textbooks on calculus are still used as a prototype to this very day because they contain concepts and formulae on differentiation and integration, many of which Euler developed himself. Euler is often considered one of the most prolific mathematicians of all time, having published over 800 books and papers in his lifetime. Henri Poincare. Henri Poincare was born in 1854 in France and he is thought to be one of the last universalists, understanding all branches of mathematics, and as such he made huge contributions to a range of mathematical fields. Poincare came from an intelligent family. His father was a professor and his cousin would go on to be the president of France. He was quite sick as a child, so he spent a lot of time at home being taught by his mother. Poincare used his mathematical knowledge to tackle some of the biggest problems of the day. When King Oscar II of Sweden offered a prize to anyone who could prove the stability of the solar system, Poincare developed the three-body problem, which explains how three planets in orbit will affect each other's paths as they pass nearby. He also set about trying to explain why light is the speed limit of the solar system, and papers he published in 1905 came very close to developing the theory of special relativity, which was detailed by Einstein later that same year. Poincare also started the mathematical fields of chaos theory and topology and developed the Poincare conjecture, one of the most famous problems in all of mathematics, which was not solved until 100 years later. Euclid. It is thought that Euclid was born around 300 BCE in Greece, though not much is known about his life. It's believed that he worked in Alexandria under the rule of Ptolemy I, teaching mathematics as a professor and also developing the Alexandrian school of mathematics. Building on the work of those that had come before him, Euclid wrote a collection of mathematics books called Elements, 13 books in total, and these are considered among the most prominent books in all of mathematics. In fact, it is believed that Elements is second only to the Bible in the number of copies that exist of it in different languages. Almost from the time it was written, Elements had an impact on human affairs as it was a primary source of geometric reason. For 2000 years, Euclid's work was considered geometry as non-Euclidean geometry had not yet been introduced, and Euclid had set a standard for deductive reasoning and geometric instruction. Carl Friedrich Gauss. Carl Friedrich Gauss was born in 1777 in Germany and is widely considered one of the greatest mathematicians of all time, contributing not only to mathematics but to the fields of astronomy and physics as well. Gauss was a mathematical prodigy, and he retained the ability to perform complex mental calculations for most of his life. When he was a teenager, his teachers and his mother referred him to the Duke of Brunswick, who, impressed with Gauss's mathematical ability, funded his education and research until the Duke's death. Gauss had many major landmark moments, including the first discovery in Euclidean geometry for 2,000 years, researching number theory, of which he's considered its modern founder, rediscovering series using the method of least squares, publishing a major work on the computation of planetary orbits, and working with Wilhelm Weber on the invention of the first electromagnetic telegraph. Gauss was a very private person who kept a lot of his work to himself and did not share it with the public. Upon his death, however, a lot of his papers were discovered and his influence stretched even further than it had during his lifetime. Bernhard Riemann. Bernhard Riemann was born in 1826 in Germany. His father was a poor pastor and his mother died before any of her children reached adulthood. Riemann was shy, had a fear of speaking in public, suffered from many nervous breakdowns. However, he did display exceptional mathematical talent. Riemann's father managed to save enough money to send him to university, where he intended to study theology, the study of religion. However, he ended up studying mathematics under Carl Friedrich Gauss, so he stopped studying theology altogether and focused on mathematics. Riemann developed the Riemann hypothesis about how often you would expect to encounter a prime number. This remains one of the deepest unsolved problems in all of number theory. Riemann also studied differential geometry and came up with the theory of additional dimensions. This work, known as Riemann geometry, completely reformed the field of geometry and became the mathematical foundation for Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. Girolamo Cardano. Girolamo Cardano was born in 1576 in Italy, and his father was a mathematically gifted jurist, lawyer and close friend of Leonardo da Vinci. Cardano had a tough upbringing, and his decision to study philosophy and science displeased his father, who wanted him to study law. Cardano became a talented and respected physician working in Milan while teaching mathematics. However, he became so popular as a physician, even turning down offers from the kings of Denmark and France and the Queen of Scotland, that he was able to give up his teaching job. However, he still studied mathematics out of interest. Cardano was often short of money and he gambled a lot. He worked out that he could use mathematics to calculate his chances of winning, and his book on games of chance, published in 1663, detailed the first treatment of probability, leading to the development of probability theory and the birth of statistics, marketing, the insurance industry and weather forecasting. Cardano also advocated for the education of deaf people and was one of the first people to state that they could learn to read and write without needing to be able to speak first. Pierre-Simon, Marquis de Laplace. Pierre-Simon, Marquis de Laplace, was born in 1749 in France. Some details of his life are unknown due to the destruction of records in a house fire in 1925. However, what is known is that his parents came from financially comfortable backgrounds and the Laplace family was involved in agriculture. Laplace took up a role as a professor at the École Militaire in Paris, despite not having a degree, due to a letter of introduction to someone very influential in scientific circles. In 1773, Laplace began his life's work of applying Newtonian gravitation, developed by Isaac Newton, to the whole solar system. Starting with the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, Laplace demonstrated that irregularities in the orbits of planets are self-correcting, and this became the first and most important piece of evidence in establishing the stability of our solar system and that it will be able to exist in its current state for a long time. Laplace also worked on problems considered about the moon's orbit and established how the moon causes tides. Laplace's view on the origins of our solar system remains our view today, that gravity was a main force pulling gas and particles into groups, forming the sun and the planets. Laplace also speculated that there could be stars out there so large that not even light can escape their gravity, and that some nebulae observed by telescopes are not actually within the Milky Way but are their own galaxies, anticipating concepts that would be proven to be correct 100 or more years in the future. Srinivasa Ramanujan. Srinivasa Ramanujan was born in 1887 in India, and his mathematical genius was awakened when he was 15 and read a book by George Shoebridge Carr which detailed 6,000 mathematical theorems. After calculating these mathematical theorems for himself, Ramanujan developed his own theorems and continued to pursue mathematics despite being unemployed and living in the poorest of circumstances. Ramanujan's mathematical genius slowly gained recognition, and eventually he travelled to England to study with the mathematician Godfrey H. Hardy, who tutored Ramanujan and also collaborated with him on research. Ramanujan's incredible knowledge of mathematics was almost entirely worked out for himself, and he had a mastery of concepts unequalled by other mathematicians of the time, solving many problems and theorems. As impressive as his mathematical knowledge was, there were also huge gaps in his knowledge, and many of his own theorems about prime numbers were completely wrong. In 1918, Ramanujan became the first Indian elected to the Royal Society, the UK's National Academy of Sciences, and although widely unknown to the world, he is recognised by mathematicians as a phenomenal genius. Katherine Johnson. Katherine Johnson was born in 1918 in America, and she worked hard at her education, starting high school at age 10, college at age 15, and by 18 she had graduated with degrees in French and mathematics. Johnson took a job teaching mathematics to black students before joining the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics as someone who computes the organisation's many mathematical needs. 5 years after joining the NACA, they turned over their operations to NASA, where Johnson became an aerospace technologist. She calculated the trajectory of the flight of the first American in space, Alan Shepard, helped calculate John Glenn's orbit of the Earth, and also helped calculate the trajectories of the famous Apollo 11 mission, which saw Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin become the first humans to set foot on the moon. Despite all of these incredible achievements, the general public had no knowledge of the work that Johnson and other black women were doing behind the scenes, with all of the public and media attention going to the white male astronauts. In 2016, the Hollywood film Hidden Figures brought widespread recognition for Johnson and other black women who'd been working for NASA. Thank you for watching this video in my series 100 Scientists Who Influenced the World. The majority of the information for this video came from 100 Scientists Who Made History and the Britannica Guide to the 100 Most Influential Scientists, as well as some other online sources. If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date on all future content, and be sure to check out my other videos such as my STEM demonstration and explanation videos, my STEM career interviews and my 10 things you should know about series. This has been STEM with Mr. N's 100 Scientists Who Influenced the World, Marvellous Mathematicians.